So let's talk about sample proportions. So far we've only been talking about means. So let's take a second now to talk about sample proportions. The first thing that's important is a population should be at least 10 times greater than the sample size. And that's because if we sample more than that, it's going to change our formulas, and we don't want that. So if you want the actual reason, just know that the population should be 10 times greater than the sample size. So, at Palmdale High, let's say that we have 3,000 students. The largest sample we could get would be 300. So this is our capital N for population. Hey now, there we go. Our maximum sample size is going to be 300, yes. If my pin will right, there we go. So if our population is 3,000, the biggest group we want to sample is 300. Let's take a look at some other terms. P hat. P hat is a proportion of the number of successes over the sample size. So in other words, if we say how many people like sushi, and we've surveyed 200 people, we find out 150 of them like sushi, our P hat, P hat is equal to 150 over 200. That's just lovely. My writing's horrible. Is 150 over 200. And that's 0.75 in my book. Oops. Holy cow, what is going on? I apologize for this. I have no idea why it's doing that. Let's try this again. Oh, there we go, 0.75. We'll scratch that out like it never happened. The mean is just P. Okay. You notice that this says P and not P hat. This implies that somehow we know what P is. And P is the true proportion of the population. Standard deviation is the square root, and I wrote it this way so that it was easier for me to write because the symbols weren't working, of PQ over N. So just to be clear, PQ is a denominator and N is a numerator. And that's the square root of all that. And let's see what this says. If NP and NQ are greater than 10, then P hat can be approximated normal. Doesn't that sound like a binomial? And if we think about this proportion, P hat, aren't we really asking for a binomial? So remember that this proportion of population has a lot to do with binomials because it's kind of a special type of binomial. Whoa, that was it. Apparently section 9.2 was brief. So I'll go back here and then you guys can write this down. Also notice the z distribution. It's probably something you've seen before, except for this time it's P hat minus the mean, which in this case is P, all over the standard deviation. So just notice that. And notice all these P's are the true proportions. And of course Q is 1 minus P. Holy cow, what am I doing? Let's try this again. Let's try to erase some of this. Q is equal to 1 minus P. Okay, and we'll stop the video here.